Hey, and thank you for clicking play. There's been a bit of buzz this week. And look, I'll link to the original. So this is the original teaser that I've got running in the background here. There's been a bit of buzz about, obviously, the advent, and we knew something was coming from the makers of the 64. Is that the right way to say it? And the C64 Mini that came out a couple of years back. And I never had an original C64. And even I was tempted to buy one of those, because what a great sort of fire and forget, you know, plug and play, off you go, if you want to experience what a Commodore 64 was like in, you know, what looked like an original form factor, especially once they did the full size thing, and that is key. So the teaser that you're seeing in the background here is obviously from the makers of the C64. They are bringing out, swings over, if you've watched the trailer, which I'm sure you all have 101 times by now, an Amiga. Now it's starting with an Amiga, an A500 Mini. Looks gorgeous. These renders look gorgeous. So I just want to give you my views on what's happening here. Love the look of that tank mouse. Love the look of this CD32 inspired controller. Let's just pause that actually, and let's go back. He says doing some left-handed jiggery pokery. Look at this, look. Okay, let's look at, there's the Amiga itself. Keeping in mind this is going to be a mini, so how big's it going to be? I don't know, maybe that. Okay, but it looks gorgeous, looks absolutely gorgeous. Let's let it play. Look at that. Now look, if this is an SD card slot, now there's no indication that it is, but if that was an SD card slot, mwah. Okay, now there's fors and against on this, and it's become quite a controversial subject because we all love the Amiga, and apparently that makes us hate each other's opinions. Whatever. Not going to get into it, or am I? So I think this, okay, it's a reduced model. It would be better if it was a Maxi. But other than that, this looks gorgeous. This looks absolutely gorgeous. But this is what gets me excited. If that is a Windows compatible tank mouse, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to tweak this a bit here, just so you can see that a bit clearer. You would have seen this anyway. But if that is a USB Windows compatible mouse that you can use in any emulator, oh, that's nice. I could see me, apart from the fact it doesn't have a scroll wheel, I could see me using that just every day in Windows. That is gorgeous. And then you get on to this CD32 inspired but beige controller. Now I'm more of a fan of a joystick. I'm going to assume that they came out with that USB Competition Pro. Well, they didn't come out with it, but they made it compatible with the C64 or made the C64 compatible with it, whichever. I'm going to assume, because they'd be crazy if it wasn't the case, I'm going to assume the same's going to be true of this Amiga 500 Mini. So you still got the option of a joystick, but look at this. Now the machine itself is rumoured to have AGA and stuff as well from the other YouTubers that I've seen talking about it, and that seems to be what the expectation is. Well, especially because of some of the games. So I'll let this play through as well as we talk. Some of the games they show are, oh, it says, in fact, it says somewhere here, I think, on the big text about AGA. Really nice, slick interface. Look, so that's Alien Breed 3D, wasn't it? So I'm pretty sure, isn't that AGA only anyway? So that kind of answers that question anyway. Look, oh, that was AGA Zool. I just saw it, because you can tell by the background. If it's anywhere near as good as these renders look, and these are renders, I'm very excited. But look, what's in the background here? What is this? What is this? Does it replace my original Amiga 500 sitting there, ticking away in the background, waiting for me to play Swiv? Like my Swiv badge. Oh, knocked the camera. Of course it doesn't replace it. Why do people get upset about this? It doesn't replace that at all. I'm still going to have window emulation on Windows as well. But a Mini, in my view, what a great little thing to just plug into the TV for some casual gaming. It's not going to have a working keyboard. You're going to be able to plug a keyboard into it. Still a bit of a pain in the backside. But for people too, who needs to, or Zool, or most of the games that you're seeing there, you don't need a keyboard. So plug it into your TV, have some good fun, casual retro gaming with your friends. Plus, think of all those millions, and there were millions of people that bought the original Amiga. What have I done to my colour? That's better, lock it in. Right, so those millions of people, they haven't all become retro Amiga users, and they definitely haven't all kept using an Amiga since the 90s. This is aimed at them. Please understand what this is about. If you love original hardware, great. If you don't want to buy an Amiga 500 Mini, don't buy it. But seriously, don't bag the poor guys putting effort in and investment in. Some people think they're in it just to make money. Look, it takes money to make money. So what they're actually doing is they're taking a gamble that there is a big enough bite for this thing to be a success, and they could lose everything. That's how a business like this works. You're gambling that people are going to have enough nostalgia for this device. And with the C64, the most popular computer ever made, never owned one myself, there we go, always go against the flow me, but you know, being British, Spectrum. But the Amiga is a slightly bigger gamble because the following wasn't as big. So all the best to them. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it, but please don't go bagging it. So I think that's its place in the space. It doesn't replace original hardware for us diehards that want to keep on playing about with that. Of course it doesn't. But for a fire and forget, look, it's the same reason I've got an Atari Flashback, but I don't have an original 2600. I never owned a 2600, so I don't have that pining to own the original hardware again. But for me to just plug in and play some 2600 games and not really care if the speed is accurate, it does the job. But it's going to be the same with this. Now, we all assume, we're all making a massive assumption based on what they're leaking that there's going to be a Maxi as well. I would happily buy both. Why would I buy a Maxi when I've got an original? Well, because, you know, these things can break. Mine's been absolutely fantastic, but I did have to tinker with the keyboard. To have a fire and forget that I don't care what happens to it, I think that's fantastic. It's not going to change my love for the original hardware, of course it isn't. But I would still have the Mini because that serves better under the big TV, like I've just said. And also if I'm traveling, throw that in your carry-on, take it around your mate's house, you know, because my friends from that era are international. I'm in Australia, they're in the UK. What a great thing. I can take a Mini, take it round to Lee's house, Steve's house, whoever's house. We can have a good catch up, talk about the good old times, smash each other to bits in Speedball 2 or something like that. I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, personally, I don't think it's the landscape at all. I think it adds to it. Please excuse me, I've just got a few things to do here. I think it adds to it. I think this expands the community to those that wouldn't have dreamt about paying the ridiculous prices for original hardware on eBay. Maybe some of the people that are so angry about this, and I really am speaking my mind as I talk and pack things away here. Maybe they are in this because they are investing in the original hardware and they don't want to see the prices go down. I don't think the prices will go down. The price of original hardware is still going to hold. You know, did the price of the C64? Who are you going to entice? You're going to entice people that weren't going to buy the original hardware in the first place. That's who's going to buy these recreations. So best of luck to them, and you know, welcome back to the fold. And if anything, it may drive prices up because some of those people, not all of them, but some of them will come back into the fold, and they will find themselves wanting a piece of original hardware as well as their off-the-shelf device. So great, you know, some people will come back into the fold, which is fantastic. So I don't think it affects that at all. Does it affect, let's say, things like the Raspberry Pi 400 crew? Sorry, I'm just having to do some tidying here as we speak about the Raspberry Pi 400. Will it affect that? Well, look, the Raspberry Pi 400 does so much more than just pretend to be an Amiga, running Pi Amiga. And you've got all the work of Chris Edwards on Pi Amiga 1.5 and now Pi Amiga 2, and I don't think any of that is wasted at all. Because, again, it's sort of a whole bigger in-between, really. Sorry, I'm making a right mess here, but it is necessary. Because basically there's people that want to play about with emulation on a Pi. They want the convenience of something like this Pi400 that I'm just struggling with tidying up here right now. But whilst you can play with something like a Pi400 and Pi Amiga as off the shelf, which is what I've been doing, what that again does is give you a hankering for the original hardware. And keep in mind, I mainly got my Pi400 to tinker about with AGA games and really establish if I really feel the need to buy a real A1200 at some point. And I think it's done that job very well. And beyond that, there's so much more you can do in Pi Amiga than I assume you're going to be able to do in this. This looks like it's got a very simplified interface. It's made for people that just want to plug it into their TV, play some games, and off you go. Now, I'm sure people are going to hack it. Of course they're going to hack it, because that's what this community is all about. But for the most part, it's a fire and forget, you know, like all the other mini consoles. And so, again, it doesn't really fill that gap that something like a Pi400 with Pi Amiga or any other operating system that the Pi400 could run offers. So I don't think it really, for a lot of people, changes that. But why am I doing my worst ever video talking about all that whilst packing up this Pi400? Well, I'll be completely honest with you, because I'm selling it. I'm selling it because, and I'm sorry Matt, that's not the best packing inside that box with the mouse, with the power adapter cable. My mate Matt's buying it off me, and I'm happy to sell it to him because it's done its job. I know that I now really do want to experience a real A1200, so that box is ticked. It's done its job. I now am very aware of what a Pi can do, and I have some projects in mind, but for those projects, to be honest, a Pi400 is not what I need. I need a Pi 4 because they'll be in a completely different form factor once I get around to doing those projects. So again, it served that purpose of what can you do with a Pi. This has done the job that I anticipated it would do for me absolutely perfectly. But yes, I have put it all in. Just making sure I put the SD card in there for you, Matt. Yes, it is. There's two in there, in fact. Pi Amiga's in there. You have to put your own ROM on it, obviously. And the original one I've formatted, so that's ready to go. Okay. The other main reason is why I've sold this to Matt. The deciding factor was the announcement that I heard overnight of this. I don't need this. For me, for a lot of people, you're still going to want this. For me personally, I don't need this. I know I want a real 1200. I've got a real A500, which is my main point of nostalgia. And with this coming as a travel Amiga, that's everything I need.